Hello again. John Mahama has unveiled sweeping reforms to strengthen Ghana's economic sovereignty, announcing plans to purchase cocoa in cities and halt the export of raw material ores by 2030. Well, the announcement, published on the official website of the presidency, was also explained at his high-level event, Accra Reset's Addis Ababa Reckoning, on the sidelines of the African Union Assembly in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, where he outlined urgent steps to end what he described as exploitative financing arrangements that have long constrained Ghana's cocoa sector. And of course, we still stay on cocoa because Cocobod says it is taking steps to address financial challenges in the cocoa sector. Executive management and senior staff have announced salary reductions for the remainder of the 2025-26 crop year, with management taking a 20% pay cut and senior staff a 10% reduction. Well, this move, announced in a statement by the Cocoa Authority, forms part of a broader cost-cutting strategy to reduce expenditure and align operational costs with revenue. Let's get details from this statement. And this is it. It says the executive management and the senior staff of Cocobod have, effective today, Monday, February 16th, reduced their salaries for the remainder of the 2025-26 crop year in recognition of the current liquidity challenges in the cocoa industry. The executive management has taken a 20% cut, while the senior staff have taken a 10% reduction in their respective salaries. This decision and other cost-cutting measures in procurement and a staff rationalization exercise are aimed at reducing the overall expenditure of Cocobod and aligning cost with revenue. So those are excerpts of that particular statement, which was released by the Ghana Cocoa Board, otherwise known as Cocobod, just yesterday. Right, and let's get onto the telephone lines right now and get some reactions to this particular development that just came in yesterday, and speak to the ranking member on the Agri Committee of Parliament, Isaac Oppoku Isaac. Mr. Isaac Oppoku, welcome to the program. We begin with what the president has said. He says that there's a new plan for 2030 where Ghana will cut ties with foreign assistance when it comes to cocoa. Do you think that it is feasible, the foreign financing of cocoa by 2030, that target that has been set by President John Mahama? Is it feasible?
Well, it is. It was even started by the Nado administration. If you remember, 2024-25, we never went for any syndicated loan. We managed to finance the Cocobod operations. There was no external funding in 2024-25 years, so it's feasible. Hello, sir.
Yes, I am struggling to hear you. I want to believe you can hear.
I said it is feasible. I said it is feasible. It was even started by the Nana Addo administration.
Okay.
And if you remember, in 2024-25, there was no syndication of cocoa loans, and we still managed to finance Cocobod operations without any external funding. So yes, I agree, it is feasible.
But looking at the current climatic conditions when it comes to cocoa, 2030 is just 4 years away. Is it achievable? Yes, it is feasible, but is it achievable?
I'm saying that it's even 2024-25, we didn't go for any external loan.
Right.
Nanado charged the then administration to develop a system where Cocobod would seek any external funding. So they developed what we call self-financing model. That is what we use to finance Cocobod in 2024-25.
Tell us a bit about this self-financing model. Isaac, I want you to tell us a bit about this self-financing model that you say was introduced under President Akufo-Addo.
Yes, you don't have to go for any external funding. You have to look from within.
Okay, right. Now let's talk about the cost cutting of Cocobod. They've cut their salaries by up to 20%. Commendable?
I don't agree at all.
Why?
The actions and inactions of Cocobod management It should not. So anytime there is a challenge, I mean, if there is a reduction in the external price, the ordinary worker in Cocobod will suffer for.
Right, but these were calls. Oh dear, Isaac.
Right. The manager.
Right.
And it's for around 4 million Ghana cities. Right. 5 million Ghana cities. You know, if you are owing the license buying companies to the tune of 11 billion, how can 5 million
Oh dear, Isaac, your lines are really not helping us this afternoon, but let's try to reconnect the lines and get you back. So
hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
So is it better now?
Yes, it's better now. Let's try one more time. Yes. You were saying that this is not a good policy, what Cocobod is doing.
No, it is not. It is not. The ordinary staff of Cocobod should not suffer for the mismanagement of the Cocobod, managers. They shouldn't.
Right, but we are seeing salary cuts of up to 20%. The executive members within Cocobod are also cutting their salaries by up to 20%. Surely they should.
The press release, they are going to cut for the rest of the season. So are they also suggesting that at the end of this season, the cocoa farmer will be restored to the original status? Is that what they are saying? You see, the issue at stake is the non-payment of cocoa farmers. So I was expecting that all the attention will be on the non-payment of cocoa farmers. They shouldn't try and milk the water. They shouldn't milk the waters at all. They should concentrate on the non-payment of cocoa farmers and pay them what.
Do you see this as a knee-jerk reaction?
It is. It is. And you cannot operate, a huge institution like Cocobod this way. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. You see, Kenneth, remember, you see, if Cocobod, before you fix the producer price, it should be based on the achieved FOB. The producer price is fixed based on the achieved FOB. You cannot use the daily sales to determine the producer price. So what information did they give to the producer price review committee? Not until you give them the achieved price, they cannot determine, what should be given to the other stakeholders. You have to determine the margin for license buying companies, for transportation, for disinfestation, for staff costs, and so on. So if you do not have the achieved FOB, how do you determine those proportions? How do you do that? So they cannot, be reducing the salaries of Cocobod staff every now and then. Anytime the international price goes up, the wages and salaries of Cocobod will be increased. And anytime it goes down, it will be reduced. How do you operate a system like that? Who will have the comfort to work in such an environment? Kenneth?
Yes. Isaac, yes. I'm wondering where the rest of the money, they say that they are cutting their salaries by up to 20%. I don't think you are the right person to ask this question, but since you're in Parliament, I think it's a bit appropriate to ask you. Do you know the rest of the 20% of these salary cuts, do you know where they're going to?
The rest of you mean, I didn't get the import of the question very well.
I mean, they are cutting their salaries by up to 20%. So do you know where the rest of that 20% that would have entered their bank accounts, do you know where they're going to?
I think they are going to start from the beginning of this month. That is the understanding I'm getting, isn't it?
Right.
And you are asking where that money will go to?
Yes, the cuts.
Well, I think it's for Cocobod to decide. I'm not getting what you mean, exactly. But I think it's for Cocobod to decide. But in any case, according to the PRO, they are going to raise about 5 million every month.
Yes.
And I'm saying if you are owing the license buying companies in excess of 11 billion cedis, what are you going to do with the 5 million? What are you going to do with that?
But
So they should find proper way to address the issue.
But Isaac, some will say while they look forward to finding proper ways to address these issues, 5 million will not do much, but it's better than nothing, don't you think?
Well, if they stop the massive renovation, the unnecessary renovations they are doing, I think they can raise more money to finance cocoa purchases. It's a better way than reducing the poor Cocobod staff's salaries and wages. I don't support that at all. It doesn't give the staff any comfort at all.
Right. The minority has been very vociferous, calling for the sack of Cocobod CEO Randy Abe. Is that something you still stand by as a minority in Parliament?
Well, I think I will leave this in the hands of the appointers. It's for the public to judge. It's for the public to judge. But my only advice is that he should listen to technical advice. That is my only advice to him. He should listen to technical advice. As I said, the producer price is fixed on the achieved price. So if you knew what was in the kitty, this situation wouldn't have arisen. He was advised to sell at least 70% of the projected crop ahead of time. If he had sold forward, as we advised, we wouldn't have been in this messy situation today.
And now we're hearing that Ivory Coast, our neighbors, are maintaining the farm gate price of equivalent of 3,600, while we have reduced ours to 2,587 Ghana cedis. There are concerns that this could lead to smuggling of cocoa from Ghana to Ivory Coast. Do you also see that?
It's already started. We are all selling the same cocoa, the same conventional cocoa. It's the same cocoa we are all selling. So if Côte d'Ivoire is able to maintain their price, you see, why can't we do the same? This price drop, it's not, a new happening. It happened during Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's time. Remember, in 2016, the average price was around $3,000 per ton. By January 2017, it had fallen to $2,000 per ton, a drop of about 50%. Nana Addo so found a way to cushion the cocoa farmer. President Kufuor found the same situation, during his tenure. And yet, he managed to cushion the cocoa farmer. Côte d'Ivoire is paying 3,600. We are paying about 10 million old Ghana cedis, about 1,000 cedis less. The tendency is for farmers to smuggle their cocoa. So if Côte d'Ivoire is able to maintain the old price, why can't we do the same? In any case, we have sold the bulk of our cocoa already. The bulk of our cocoa, they projected to produce around 650,000 metric tons. The bulk of it has already been sold.
But
so what is their problem now? Bank of Ghana has already reported that 2025 cocoa receipts exceeded 3.9 billion. So why are they complaining about shortage of cash? Why?
Isaac, now that you brought in the comparison between President Akufo-Addo's tenure and now, the argument the majority also make is that now we are seeing the farmers being paid 90% of the FOB price, which is the 2,587. During Akufo-Addo's tenure, they say that cocoa prices went to as high as $10,000 US, and they were paid just 30% of it. That is the argument that was made during 2024, that if you were to pay realistic prices, you should have been paying more than 6,000 Ghana cedis. So really, is this not double standards?
They were using the spot price to determine, the farm gate price then. They were only using the spot price. They were not using the average FOB price. They were not. You see, so if Nana Addo had listened to those pressures, those arguments, if Nana Addo had listened and increased cocoa farm gate price to 6,000, Kenneth, what would have happened today? what would have happened today? So that's what I'm saying, that the producer price is based on the achieved FOB price. You cannot use daily sales at spot price to determine the producer price. You know, those days, because of politics, anytime the international price went up, the same day they will use the calculation that Nanado should pay 70% of the international price. You cannot use the spot price to determine the farm gate price. You cannot. It's an achieved FOB. So they cannot use that. That argument they are peddling, it doesn't hold water. So how come Cote d'Ivoire is able to pay 3,600 today and we have reduced ours to just 2,500? The cocoa farmer doesn't want to listen to this kind of argument. All what the cocoa farmer is saying is that you promised me 6,000 Ghana cedis per bag. You're unable to do that. At least maintain what you came to meet.
Right. Okay. Isaac Oppoku, I want to thank you very much for your time this afternoon. He's the ranking member on the Agri and Cocoa Affairs Committee of Parliament. Still on cocoa, though, some cocoa farmers in Kadjebi district of the Oti region have bared their teeth at government for what they say is a failed promise to them due to the reduction in cocoa producer price. The farmers argue the government should have at least maintained the price at what the previous government was buying the cocoa beans from them. Peter Senu reports.
Some cocoa farmers who have interacted with Joy News following the recent price cut by government due to a fall in the world market price of cocoa say they feel shortchanged by government. Tassa Safiu is one of the cocoa farmers with over 48 acres of cocoa farm.
In fact, it's a big disappointment to us as farmers. We are extremely disappointed. The price was reduced to 2,500. They've now moved it back to 2,800 thereabout. That is still not good enough. Particularly those of us within Oti, the eastern corridor of Oti, where smuggling is so rampant. I mean, if you speak with Cocobod, they will tell you the effort I put in to stop smuggling. So when government had taken the price to 3,600, what it meant was that the price between Ghana and Togo were almost the same. So smuggling was going to come down. Today, smuggling has started again because the price in Ghana is so low. Look, this year, I bought fertilizer, Yara fertilizer, Asasura alone, 55,000. How many bags of cocoa do I have to sell in order to be able to make 55,000? That's a lot of cocoa. And productivity within the major season was very low. It is this minor season that we were expecting that, now, as you can see the farm, the crops are coming up, and then they've reduced the price. How are we going to make for that? This farm, you can see, I clear this farm 6 times in a year. Okay? On average, each time they clear, I spend between 12 to 15,000. So if you multiply that by 6, you can imagine. And that is why you can have the farm being the way it is.
Yibwe Wisdom is another cocoa farmer. The emotional farmer say he may not be able to pay his laborers due to the price cut. He wants government to at least pay what the previous government was paying them. He argues his area, Konsuaso, produces one of the largest tons of cocoa in the district, but remains not connected to the national grid after years of failed promises by politicians.
The cocoa price that has been decreased has affected me a lot because I have about 18 acres with 15 workers that I pay every season. And my agreement was upon the former price that the government was buying the cocoa. And here is the case. After the agreement that I had with the workers, now the price has been reduced to the extent that I can't pay my workers. We have been told that the youth must go back to agriculture. And we are in it now. We are trying to employ people that are walking in the street to bring peace, that Ghana will take back its former clothes. Here is the case. I feel bad. Anybody who is in darkness behaves abnormally. Konsuaso is the greatest producer of cocoa in, let me say, Kadjebi district, but we don't have light. So whatever is happening in the country, how do we know? Someone just come here and deceive us. So please, if anything at all, the simple light, street light, street light, and the light itself. We don't need the post. When we say we were crying for light, they brought us post. Post doesn't mean light. We are not fools. Post doesn't mean light. We mean light. Press and we can also see.
For Eric, the salaries of Cocobod workers must also be slashed to make room for some adjustment to their cocoa prices, else they may not be able to take care of their families, as he claims over 16 family members depend on his cocoa farm after the loss of his father.
If the world market is down, because of that they are reducing the cocoa price, the salary of the CEO, are they going to reduce it? Because if I'm dealing business, my personal business, and I know that the business is collapsing, if I've been preparing food, the meals that I've been preparing in the house for my family, I'll reduce it. Because if I didn't reduce it and I said I will still enjoy like the way I've been enjoying, it will collapse. If they are considering that the world market have fallen, so that's why they have reduced the price of cocoa for the farmers, then they have to review their salary.
We bring you extended version of these arguments in subsequent report. Peter Senu for Joy News.
Exclusive information available to Joy News indicates that the Environmental Protection Authority has busted 14 containers packed with hundreds of champagne machines at Tema Port. A high-powered EPA delegation led by the Chief Executive Officer, Nana Ama Brown Kluche, is currently at the Tema Port. Lots of questions are coming up this afternoon on this major bust. Who is behind the import and what does this mean for the general fight against illegal mining? Let's have a conversation this afternoon and speak to the Deputy CEO of the EPA in charge of operations, Michael Ayamba. Also on Zoom is the convener for the Media Coalition Against Galamsey, Kenneth Ashigbe. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time this afternoon. Professor Ayamba, I want to start with you. What led to this seizure?
Thank you and good afternoon. As you rightly indicated, we are currently at the Golden Jubilee field where the items have been impounded by national security at the instance of the EPA. We received intelligence from the national security that they had seen some items that resemble the champagne machines, and our ground team at the ports went to verify. And yesterday, upon the first inspections, I instructed that they be kept for further interrogation. The issue is that they are being imported by a certain Chinese man whose identity we do not know now, but represented by one Kusi, who is a Ghanaian. And we are told they are light agricultural machinery, that is tricycles. But our suspicion is that these machines can also be re-engineered to for use in illegal mining, that is champagne. So we have currently instructed that the items be impounded and kept until we do all the necessary checks to ensure that they are actually tricycles as they have been imported with.
One will ask, why the seizure? Is it illegal to import champagnes into Ghana?
A couple of months back, latter part of last year, the EPA issued a statement that all undertakings that appeared or provided services that could be deployed in mining needed to clear with the authority before they either import or distribute those items. So we embarked on the closure of Shanfang shops, seizure of Shanfang machines, as you can recall. So that operation is still ongoing. We have extended it even to large-scale mines where we are demanding accountability of their logistics, like sodium cyanide. Mining entities that are no longer using them, EPA is seizing them and stockpiling them for safety so that they are not affected to illegal mining. So,
hello, Professor Ayamba. Do I still have Professor Ayamba on the line? It appears we've lost him, but we'll try to reconnect and get him back on the line. But let's bring in Ken Ashigbe, who is the convener of the Media Coalition Against Galamsey. Mr. Ashigbe, grateful for joining me this afternoon. You've heard the Deputy CEO of the Environmental Protection Authority. They say that they got a tip-off from the National Security, but as of now, they do not know the identity of the person who imported these champagnes to Ghana. Usually, when such intelligence operations are done, the individuals behind these, imports are not revealed. Do you think that there will be a closure as to who really imported these into the country?
Well, thank you very much. I think that we need to commend the CEO for the EPA and his team for this particular thing. And I trust Prof. Kluche, she would let us know who were behind this. And it is important that we don't let people hide behind this could be used for agriculture. It's just like when you look at the issues of cocaine. Cocaine could be used in producing pharmaceuticals. But because of the impact that cocaine could do to us, it is proscribed, and so that for somebody who is importing this number 14 containers of these champagnes into this country, we definitely need to know that he's not bringing them in just to come and do agriculture because he loves us to do agriculture. We have seen the things that he's doing to our country, to the extent that we even have some assemblies, actually permitting these champagnes and what they call the one leg, and the distractions that they are doing to our community, and so we definitely need to get to the bottom of this, and we need to make sure we find out those people who are behind this. So when His Excellency John Mahama says in October 2024 that to be able to deal with the issues of Galamsey, you need to deal with the kingpins, somebody who can bring 14 containers into our country, an item that has been prescribed. These are the people who want to destroy our country. And we need to find these people up and make sure we're dealing with them. Now, even excavators, we are told that if you're even bringing excavators, you are supposed to clear it before you even order it and put it on a ship. How does he bring champagnes into this country and it gets to the port and we have to find it's intelligence that gets to do this? So we need to commend the EPA for what has been done, but a lot more needs to be done. And we need to, and for you, the media, you also don't need to rest. We should not, wait, and then by the time we see it, all of these 14 containers get slipped into the system. There are particular places in Ghana now where all of these prescribed equipments are being sold and are being fabricated.
Right.
And if we're going to deal with this, then we should deal with it at the source, at the ports.
Right.
I was speaking to the MCE for the Ahanta West yesterday night. This was the same thing we're talking about. If we want to stop it, let's stop it at the ports. Don't let it come into the system. So I think we need to commend the EPA for this, and we need to see what happens after this.
All right, Mr. Ashigbe, don't go yet. I have Professor Ayamba back on the line. Professor Ayamba, unfortunately, we lost you, but thankfully we have you back on the line. You were giving us some details.
Yes, I was just saying we have currently asked that the items remain under seizure until we are able to verify that they cannot be re-engineered and used for illegal mining. And it is part of our effort to monitor the supply chain of inputs into mining to ensure that they don't go into illegal mining. You can imagine that if these turn out to be Samsung machines, 210 of them, you can imagine the damage they can do So we want to actually commend the national security and our port operations team for being alert. And I must say that it signals the intention of government to be ruthless regarding the quest and the desire to stop illegal mining. I also think that it is a message to every importer and every business undertaking to clear out with the EPA and to check and ensure that they are not in foul of this regulation. No government agency will look away as far as illegal mining is concerned. And as demonstrated by the national security and the EPA, we are in the field trying to ensure that we curtail the scourge that is currently going on.
And while investigations are ongoing, has anybody be apprehended?
There's one that showed up as an agent for the importer who is currently in the United States, we are told. So he is just a clearing agent. And as we speak now, he is with the national security. He has owned up that he's the agent for the importer. But the importer himself, who we are told is Chinese, is not in the country.
And where are these containers being kept?
They are being kept at the Golden Jubilee Field at the Tema Harbor now. We'll ensure that they remain there until we are able to clear everything. We are able to test to ensure that they are not champagnes. If they are not champagnes and they are tricycles as they have indicated, we need to be straight to the point and then probably check to see whether their importations were right, then we release them. If we find out that they can also be retrofitted and used for illegal mining, then they'll be seized and probably destroyed.
Can you give us an approximate figure of how many champagnes you suspect are in these 14 containers?
By my estimate, there are 15 in each container, a 40-footer container, and we have 14. So at least 210 champagne machines.
You mentioned earlier that you are going to ensure that these tools are going to be used for farming purposes as they claim. Does that mean that if it is found out that although it's champagne, but they tell you that they are using it for farming purposes, you're going to let them go with it?
No, we are actually working to ensure that we rule out any possibility of these machines having any function in illegal mining. So if they can even be refitted in the slightest means to use for illegal mining, we will not release them.
Right. Professor Michael Ayamba, thank you very much. He's the Deputy CEO of the Environmental Protection Authority. I still have Ken Ashbe on the line with me. He's the convener of the Media Coalition Against Galamsey. Ken, you've heard the Deputy CEO of EPA saying that even if it is found out that it can be used for illegal mining, it will not be released to them. Happy?
Well, I think that's the way to go. You know, if it is an equipment that can be retrofitted for illegal mining, we definitely should not release that, because we know how many people are using these equipment to do agriculture. It's not being sold in the Volta region. You see the reason why. You can imagine why it's not being sold in the Volta region. There's no mining happening in the Volta region. Neither is it being sold in Greater Accra, because we don't do any mining. Go to places, you know, in the Ashanti region, the Western region, Western North. That is where you see a lot of them being sold. The reason is that there's the purpose for it. And again, we have seen that the Amansia Central, you know, they even are permitting people to use it. So we need to clear it out of the system and make sure if we have pursue extradition for the former Minister for Finance to come. This person who is in the U.S., once we do, we should also be seeking to extradite him to come to Ghana for him to be also prosecuted.
Details about the owners of these alleged excavators are scanty, as the Deputy CEO of EPA mentioned, but do you get a sense that it could be a big network which could include high-profile individuals in our society?
Well, I think that we should not speculate. Once there's an agent who's been dealing with him, we should be able to trace. You know, if you go to court right now, the court will be able to give you that permission to be able to get this, the call records of this particular person, and then be able to find who he's been dealing with so far as this conversations are concerned. If you throw Act 995 at this particular agent, because you see the law is such that even if you are bet and conspire with somebody to bring these things in to do illegal mining, you know, the sentences are very dire. I'm pretty sure he will sink and he will tell us all the people who are related to it. And I agree with you. These things, it's not just a single person bringing them in. It could be a cartel that is doing it, but it is about investigating it and finding out those who are behind it and dealing with them. And if you consider that we ourselves know that we're in a state of war and these are weapons of mass destruction, then we should treat them like that.
If they eventually found out to be shanfans and were imported into the country for mining purposes, what should we do with the machines?
Well, I think that, again, the law is very clear. Once you do that, you take them to court, and then once there's a confiscation, you take them to court. Then there is a forfeiture. If there is a way in which you can immobilize them in such a way that it cannot be used for any illegal mining and can be repurposed for a particular purpose, then you can control fine. Otherwise, what we can do is to make sure that you know, we take them and recycle them and take the materials that we can get out of them. It is important that, you know, we make sure that it never gets back into the system to do any illegal activity. Ken Ashigbe, always grateful to have you on any of our shows. He's the media Coalition Against Galamsey. He's the convener of that particular group. You're still watching The Pulse here on Join Us. Let's begin.